Hey everyone, it's Jason. Welcome to an unboxing for Zombicide, No Rest for the Wicked. This is an expansion for either Zombicide, Black Plague, or Green Horde. And then this one, unlike the other expansions, can just be thrown right in because it's only enemies. And, well, one siege weapon, but there's no extra survivors, there's no item cards, there's no maps. It's just more bad things. So if you're looking for a break from regular zombies, or from orcs, or maybe from the wolves from Wolfsburg, you can pick up this and we're going to get a couple of new types of enemies. So the big one here is we're going to get the Necromantic Dragon. We're going to get big boy there. We'll take a look at these miniatures up close. We're going to get the Spectral Walkers and the Swarms of Rats, which are each going to have their own different rules. So we're going to look at the Spectral Walkers really quick. So Spectral Walkers are going to do this. They're going to follow the damage rule of 1 damage, minimum of 1 damage to kill them, but only from special sources. Experience to give you 1. So Spectral Walkers are considered walkers for the purpose of like targeting, stuff like that, but they don't get the extra activation. Can only be killed with the Ballistae, combat spells, vault weapons, including magic weapons from the Wolfsburg expansion, and Dragon Fire. So regular swords and arrows aren't going to cut it. You need either one of the special weapons, or I'm surprised that the Trebuchet didn't classify as this. Not just, so the Ballistae, but I'm surprised, yeah, the other siege weapons don't work. Again, you can always house rule that. But yeah, so basically they're ghostly type characters. So they're going to have their special cards. Let me find them. So, of course, they'll have the same yellow backs as all the rest of them, so they fit right in. And then they have, you know, just Spectral Walkers, 2, 5, 1, 2, 1, in various degrees as you draw them. Some will get you quite a bit of them, some will get you few, but we're going to get a few of these. There's a decent amount, so you can always take some out if you want a little bit easier playing. I was just seeing if there was a reference card, because sometimes there is, but not for this set. Yeah, so those guys are pretty cool. So let's take a look at their miniatures. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Right, 6 of each different one of 3 different styles. So they're going to come in this blue, like light blue. It's kind of supposed to look spectrally. They couldn't obviously make them all clear. They could have, but it would have cost a lot more money. But yeah, they look like regular walkers, but they're kind of ghastly, flowing robes and capes and stuff. So you'll get 6 of those. 6 of the standing version. And you see they're kind of floating, which is definitely neat. And then 6 of the female version. So that's cool. Yeah, so they can't be killed with just regular weapons. So you're going to have to either go to the vault, or you're going to have to have Wolfsburg and have the magical weapons. But the magical weapons can only be used at sometimes level orange or red, so it does make them a little bit harder to use. Or you have to have Dragon Fire, or combat spells. So combat spells would probably be the easiest way to take care of them. So up next we have Swarms of Rats, and of course they go Z because they're zombies. So these guys have some special rules as well. 1 damage, 1 to destroy, 1 experience. So fairly typical. Swarms of Rat get extra activation each time a Swarm of Rats zombie card is drawn. So if you already had 4 of them out there, you draw a new one, they all get to go again. So that makes them a lot harder than regular walkers. or even these Spectral Walkers, because every card's always going to be an extra one. Zombie rats move up to 2 zones per activation to reach their targets, so they're kind of like runners. Sort of, because they move up to 2 zones per activation. They don't get an additional action, so I guess they're not like runners. Set their target zone before moving them. They move to get there. As they move to get there, they don't change their course if a new target appears along the way. So it's kind of like saying that if they look down an alleyway and they see one of your survivors, they're going to head straight towards that guy at both movement points. Even if, like, they take one step forward and now they can see another guy right immediately in, like, another, like, off to their left. They're not going to stop and turn towards that guy. They're going to keep running straight. They will move, ignore all obstacles hindering or preventing movement except for closed doors and walls. They will run. They will scurry around hedges. They will scurry through things that go up walls to get up little cliffs. They don't care. They're gonna get to you. So these guys can definitely be very dangerous. So of course we're gonna have some spawn cards for them, and they're gonna come a little bit higher rates than the Spectral Walkers did. So yeah, like 5s and 4s, a lot more of those. So they're all the same numbers. They're just different emotes. Or we just have different cards. So if you want less of them, pull some of the cards out. Otherwise, it's the same exact number on every card. Which does make it, basically that means so if you're doing, you're still in blue, you only have to worry about 2 of them. Yellow, if you're in red, you only have to worry about 5 of them. But every time you get one, they're going to have more activation. There's, what, 12 cards? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Yeah, 12 cards. So, alright, let's take a look at those guys. So, we are again going to get, we're only going to get 5 of each of these guys. So, we're not going to get as many. There's only 15 instead of 18. These are definitely kind of cool as well. So we have the first one, which is a bunch of rats on top of a treasure chest. They're pouring out of there. There's a skull. You can see they're all over each other, tangled up to each other, leaping off of each other. That's why they can get over everything. Our second design is just a pile of them. Just nothing more than a giant pile of rats. And then the third design, which stretches out a little bit more. It's like a long version, but they're hanging off of a sword there. So there's a sword in there. So this probably was a person under there at some point. But yeah, that's crazy and gross at the same time. So those were those 2 enemies. Then we have our third type. We're going to have the Necromantic Dragon. So this guy is a big boss almost. Ooh, I'm knocking cards off my table here. So he's not, if you imagine the necromancers are like mini bosses because they keep summoning stuff and the abominations are the bosses, this is like the final boss almost. So he's gonna have his own set of cards here. So the Necromantic Dragon appears 8 zombie cards to spawn in the game. 5 vulnerability cards are used to weaken them until you can kill it, and a double-sided compass rubble cards are used to manage randomly direction. It features built-in damage building zones. And then the ballista you can also use to help take him out. We'll look at the ballista in a minute. So, Necromantic Dragon follows characters that takes 2 damage with no armor rolls. So not as much damage as an abomination, but there's reasons for that. So you guys, minimum wound 2 damage. Minimum damage was 2 damage. Experience provided 1 per vulnerability card. It's a special rule. The Necromantic Dragon is immune to all game effects, including Dragonfire, enchantments, and skills, except the Ballistae. and weapons matching the type shown by its current vulnerability. The Necro Dragon is a huge beast, hovering above the boards. Obstacles don't block line of sight between survivors, and the Necro Dragon not even being inside the building, so he doesn't care. So he spawns very interestingly. So he only spawns at danger level yellow or higher. And is set to the center zone of the corresponding tile, no matter the zone the card was drawn for. So whatever spawn is, that was popped in the center of that tile. When performing, he performs a Dragon Stomp. All zombies standing in the Necro Dragon's spawning zone are killed, no matter their type and immunities, like Spectral Walkers, for example. No experience is gained. So he kills all the zombies in there. He drops in there, steps on the ground, crushes them. You roll a die on the compass card for each survivor and siege engine miniature in the spawning zone. The target is pushed one zone away in the corresponding direction. This is not a move. A survivor and siege engine can't leave the board or cross hallways this way, or cross a wall. Instead, they stay in the zone. A survivor still standing in the zone suffers 2 wounds. Siege engines are destroyed. So, what we're going to do is you're going to get these cards here. What is there? 8 of them? 12 of them? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 of them. You're going to get 9 cards. So, when he stomps down, you're going to roll a die. If you roll a 6, you get pushed to the left zone. You get a 4, you go to the right zone. If you get a 1 or 2, you stay in the zone. Now, every card's the exact same. So you don't have to look at it and try and be like, oh, which one's different, which one's different. But yeah, they have so many because every time they're used, they get used up each time. Yeah, so that's kind of bad. So he's going to come in, he's going to kill all the zombies in that zone, which could be very helpful to you. But if you can't get away because you rolled a 1 or 2, or there's a wall or outside of the border in your way, he's going to then he's going to keep you in that zone and then deal 2 damage to you. So that's definitely not good either. If the center zone is a building, spawn a rubble card on it. Or sorry, set a rubble card on it. From then on, the zone blocks line of sight, cannot be searched, and cannot be entered. It can be left by a survivor within those. So if you didn't die, you can still escape. According to the quest objective, this situation can lead to defeat. If the designated objective was set in the zone to be taken, for example. So if he drops in a zone that you need to do something in, and he destroys that building, you can't win anymore. So that could be very bad for you. And then the 4th step is you draw a vulnerability card, and the Necro Dragon can only be hit and wounded by a ballista or a weapon matching the type showing. Just as revealed, inflicting 2 damage. So, let's look at those cards quick. We're going to have a bunch. We're going to show the Necro Dragon here on the back. And then here's what they're going to say. It says, the Necro Dragon is vulnerable to ballista and melee weapons. So this turn, the ballista or melee weapons can hurt it. We have 1 for ballista and ranged weapon, 1 for ballista and combat spells, and 2 for ballista, and then vault weapons or magic weapons can deal damage to them. So if that's not drawn, you can't hurt them with any other attacks. It only takes 2 hits to damage. Here's the back of them compass tokens. So if you flip one of those over, those are the rubble tokens that you drop down. So again, you only have 9, so you're only going to be able to destroy up to 9 tiles, which could be typically the end of the board, because there's only 9 zones in the game. Alright, then Necro Dragon's activation, so he has more special steps. So he has attack step, then move step. So in his attack step, he has Zombie Gush. Spews rotten stomach contents into the zone with the most survivors within range 0 to 1, if there are any. No line of sight is required, and the gush can be done diagonally. If several zones are eligible, the players choose. Draw a zombie card, then read its line matching the current danger level to spawn zombies in targeted zone. If the zombie card is a dragon card, discard it and draw the next one. Zombie spawn cards by the Necroman do not get activated in the same zombie space they were spawned. So, yes, that's kind of cool. So he just basically spews out, he kills a bunch of zombies and then he spews out a bunch more. And then he has his move step, which you do the dragon stomp again. If he did not attack during the attack step, so if no one was within one space at least of him, he moves after all other zombies. Using standard move, define destination, but move one tile away to the direction instead. Send the center of the zone, and then can't enter vaults and can't move if all survivors are in vaults. So if he can't see anyone because they're not even above ground, he won't move. Otherwise, he moves and he does the dragon stomp, which we just saw. And then there's the option of playing with several dragons. Game can feature multiple dragons of different origins. There may be one dragon miniature on the board at any time. If another dragon zombie card is drawn no matter the type, the dragon currently standing on the board gets an extra activation. Cool. Then we have vulnerability cards, which we looked at. The Necromantic Dragon is removed from the board whenever it is hit with 2 damage or more weapons matching its current vulnerability or a ballista. It flies away. The survivor gains 1 experience point and a random vault weapon, if there are any. Corresponding vulnerability cards discarded until the end of the game. If it was the last from the deck, the Necromantic Dragon is killed for good. From then on, any Necromantic Dragon zombie cards drawing have no effect. The Dragon Slayers have earned a little respite. I'm trying to figure out why you would have any more. If it's the last from the deck, the Dragon's killed for good. Any cards drawn have no effect. Why would you draw any more? So yeah, you basically have to kill him for every vulnerability card, and there was 5 of them. So although he only takes 2 damage to take off the board, he takes 10 damage overall to kill. So then let's look at his summoning cards quick, which are fairly simple. And they'll still have the yellow back so they can get mixed in with everything else. So it's just Necromantic Dragon pops in at one of those 3 and then nothing in blue. And then we just have 8 of those. So ideally, he could spawn up to 8 times, but he can Dragon Stomp every time he moves, so he could destroy the board well before he gets to it. So he destroys, although the rubble tiles only go on buildings, but if there was 9 buildings in your zone, he could destroy the entire map and you wouldn't be able to do anything. So it's kind of cool, unless you're playing with a map bigger than 9. Alright, let's look at him. I'm going to pause for a second. Alright, here's our giant Necrotic Dragon, or Necro Dragon as I probably keep calling him. Definitely cool. Huge wings. So these wings do pop out for storage, which is how it came in the box. So if you want to store them back in the box, or if you want to store them in your own storage containers, he can definitely come out. So like as a comparison, there's a Spectral Walker next to him, and that's a swarm of rats next to both of them. So if we zoom in a bit, you can kind of get an idea of how big he actually is. So yeah, he's going to take up quite a bit of space. That's definitely what you want from a dragon, right? You want a dragon to be big. Definitely cool. So, I did mention other dragons. The only other 2 dragons I can possibly think of, I think there was one that was in the Kickstarter, stretch goals. Like, if you bought everything, you got, like, a different dragon. And then there would be a dragon from Massive Darkness 2, which might be able to be added into this game as well. I believe this guy can also be added into Massive Darkness 2, but we'll have to check out that crossover pack if you want to see that. Alright, then the last thing we have for this video is the Siege Engine, the Ballista, or Ballistae, as they also call it. They keep going back and forth between the two words. Survivors start the Ballista weapon whenever any dragon type is used. Several dragons are played. Survivors may begin with the same number of Ballistae. The corresponding miniature is placed in the starting area. Okay, so Ballista is one, Ballistae with the E at the end is multiple. So I'm guessing that means the Kickstarter dragon also came with an additional one, or if you bought multiple sets of these, you don't want multiple dragons. Alright, so during South Ballista is a siege gun is not an actor deployed following the same mechanics. So moving it costs 2 actions. Survivor and the Ballista both move from a zone to the next. This action uses standard move actions but does not benefit from additional skills related to move actions. It is destroyed whenever it is set in a watering hole. To fire it, it costs 2. Survivor loads and fires Ballista. A Ballista is not a combat action and does not benefit from combat effects, and firing it does not produce noise. The Ballista fires at every zone in the designated straight line, starting with the Ballista zone. No line of sight is required. The shot cannot go through walls or closed doors. Make separate attacks for each targeted zone. The Ballista uses the following characteristics: range +1, dice 3, accuracy 4, special. Hits all targets hit by the Ballista are killed, no matter their type and immunities. Accuracy is lowered to +3 if a survivor has a line of sight on the targeted zone. Target priority zone and other friendly fire rules apply. Okay, so then a little map here kind of gives an idea here. So we have Johann's fires a Ballista bolt, goes straight, ignoring the line of sight until it meets the eastern wall. So it's going to go all the way through up until it hits this wall here. So it says the dragon should be hit by Ballista no matter their current vulnerability. 3 dice are rolled to hit the monster. Normal accuracy is the 4 is lowered to 3 as Johann has a line of sight on the beast. Say rolls a 5, a 2, and a 4 does 1 damage. 1 hit is enough. So although the dragon normally takes 2 hits, a Ballista takes him out regardless. It says then he ignores the line of sight and goes through the hedge. So he does 3 dice with 4 accuracy. Since the hedge blocks line of sight, he can't actually see this guy, so he doesn't get that extra bonus of reduced accuracy. Then 3 dice with 4 accuracy are rolled for the abomination. So it says 1 hit. Ballista has no damage value. Everything hits, so it kills the abomination anyhow. So as long as you get 1 hit, it'll kill them. Then it goes to the next one. As target priority leaves the runners on a rampage. The rampage stops here as the bolt hits the wall. So it's basically saying there's 3 things in there. So it says since Megan has a line of sight on here, although Johann's fired, he can't see it. It does lower the accuracy, and he gets 2 hits. But he has to take out the walker, and then he has to take out the fatty, and then he doesn't have enough to take out the runner. So the runner just to keep going. And then this guy standing back here behind the wall is perfectly fine. So it's dangerous weapon. So like versus the trebuchet from Green Horde, which fires an arcing distance and lands in a spot, this fires straight through everything. So it's definitely neat because it, you can have both of these on the field and they work very differently. Well, there's the miniature for it. Definitely cool. I like the idea of having different siege weapons. The fact there was only 2 is a little bit disappointing. I think there might be a 3rd one in the Kickstarter. I have to look that up, but I don't have that, so I'm not for sure. Then we have a rules card for it, just as a reminder. Distances, at least 1 space, but +3, 4, and special damage. But it makes no noise, which is kind of funny. And there's the back side, just showing that so it doesn't get mixed in too much with the other cards. Alright, so then the last thing we have to show off for this would just be the updated targeting priority. Survivors, if you miss. Dragons first. Then murder of crows and swarms of rats. Walkers, brutes, abominations, runners, zombie wolves, and necromancers. Cool. Alright, so that was Zombicide, No Rest for the Wicked. So if you're looking at for some new different creature types, you want to add both the spectral walkers and the swarm of rats into the game. You can add one at a time. You can mix and match them. With the other stuff, add them again with the orcs, the regular walkers, the wolves, the swarm of crows, the necromantic dragons. Throw everything in the bookcase in there and see what happens. Definitely fun. It would have been cool if they had at least like one more tile added in here, for like maybe like a special one quest with this guy, or like maybe a special quest that involved like the spectral walkers or something. Would have been cool, like a double-sided tile, but they didn't. So that's right. All right, see you guys in the next video. Bye.